Welcome in to Extreme Talk, presented by Complete Real Estate, where experience and integrity matter. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday afternoon. It's a good weekend. It's been a really, really good weekend. Old Titans pulling out the win. Old Vols winning yesterday. Got some playoff football this weekend. It's been a good weekend. It's been a very good weekend. Let's start running through it because we have a packed show in terms of guests that are going to be on the show today. Let's actually start out in the Kansas Christian Athletic Association. Let me get those scores pulled up really quick. So their playoff system is set. By the way, if my P's and my T's are a little more pronounced, these mics and that may be what I do right there. Let me check this. The pop filter that was supposed to be on this mic is not on the mic that I have. So we may just do that right there. Okay. That softened it up just a little bit. That's what we'll do. Okay. So the Kansas Christian Athletic Association, their playoffs are set. And those playoff games are locked in. So we'll talk about those. Only one game happening in that conference this past weekend. Let me pull up the bracket. There we go. KC East Lions taking on Cornerstone Family Saints. Lions with a 38-2 win. Cornerstone actually got a safety in the first quarter, and then Kansas City East 22 points in the second quarter, 16 in the third to grab that win. And run through a couple stats real quick. Junior quarterback Jeremiah Nichols, 9 of 16, 151, 2 touchdowns. They also had, Nathaniel Nelson, I believe. Yep, Nathaniel Nelson led the team in rushes, 21 carries, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Let's jump down to, they had Grayson Pollock, senior receiver, 6 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him. And then in terms of defense, looks like it was Denichi and Pollock tied for the lead in tackles, 7 each, and 6 solo for both of them. Denichi with 3 sacks and 5 hurries, and then a pass defense and a block punt. And Grayson Pollock also picked up an interception on that one. So really great showing there by the KC East Lions. The playoffs for the Kansas Christian Athletic Association are set. Wichita Warriors, Life Prep, and the Manhattan Eagles all got byes, while KC East and Cornerstone played. Kind of the same situation as the TSIAA this season, where top 3 seeds were on a bye, bottom 2 seeds played. And then now this upcoming weekend, which I wish this was happening this weekend, this past weekend, and then the championship happening this weekend. But regardless, Wichita Warriors, KC. Well, I'll talk about that later on. I'll break down the playoffs. But in terms of games that just happened, KC East Lions with a big win over the Cornerstone Family Saints. Let's see. Let's go to the Heartland Conference. I mentioned them just a second ago. Let's talk about it. Their playoffs are set now, but I'll talk about that later. Southwest Christian, Arkansas Christian on Friday night they played, and the Lions got the win over the Knights 70-18. Thomas Stewart, 8 of 16, 204, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions. But then he rushed 8 times for 143 yards and 5 touchdowns, so doing a lot on the ground. And Dominic Ferguson, the junior receiver, with a big day, 4 catches, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then in terms of defense, that would be Dominic Ferguson again, leading the team with 10 tackles, 8 solo, had 2 tackles for loss. Stewart, Fletcher, Ferguson, and Thomas Kovic each had a sack, and then Stewart and Daniel Molina each had an interception. So congratulations to Southwest Christian on a big win in Arkansas in the Heartland Christian Conference. Another game that happened was Destiny Christian hosting Crossover Prep, and Destiny Christian a 20-14 win over the Lions. And so I'll break down their playoffs a little bit here near the closer to the end of the show. Let's jump up here into Tennessee real quick. Let's talk about the SEEC and the TSIAA. We'll start with the TSIAA, and they had two games happening. Of course, remember last weekend you had Lancaster and South Haven Christian playing. Lancaster won that one, so they won the privilege of going on the road to Franklin Christian. Grace Academy, they were kind of on standby, and then they ended up heading to Christian Community. Two great games, or a great game happening in White House at CCS. Grace had the lead 12-8. Christian Community in the fourth quarter came back and scored, made it 16-12, and then Grace near the end of the game was driving, ended up having some penalty trouble that put them out of real striking range, and Christian Community able to close that one out. So the Colts are headed to the TSIAA championship, as well as Franklin Christian with a 43-20 win over Lancaster Christian. So it'll be Franklin Christian, Christian Community for the championship. First time that's happened since 2015. Let's see. Let's go to the SEEC, Southeastern Extreme Conference. One game Friday night, one game on Saturday night. Friday night, it was the Freedom Cowboys hosting the Tri-Cities Christian Academy Eagles. And I had the pleasure of going up and doing that game. Big shout out to Coach Adam Chalmers from Riverside Christian for jumping on there with me and doing color and the camera. But a big win for the Cowboys, kind of close there at the beginning, and then they took off, kind of jumped ahead, and really never looked back from that point. 56-32, Cowboys over the Eagles. And then on Saturday, you had Tennessee Heat hosting Sacred Heart of Jesus High School. Heat, it wasn't a shootout game per se. They handled business. It was 22-0 at halftime. A little bit of scoring in the third quarter, no scoring in the fourth. Final score: Tennessee Heat 41, Sacred Heart 6. So congratulations to Sacred Heart Tri-Cities on a good season. And I mean that. It was a good season. They made the playoffs. That's something that in SEEK, two teams can't say that. So, there you go. Let's go down to South Carolina. Let's talk about the SIFA. A couple games happening down there. The number 1 seed Pack Panthers, they on Thursday, they're on a bye with the SIFA. And so they took on Cross Episcopal there in South Carolina and got a 62-6 win in that game. And then on Friday night, a couple not playoff games, but a couple games there. You had Orangeburg Christian on the road at Victory Christian. Vikings come away with a 52-6 win. Slow scoring first quarter, but then Victory put up 28 in the second. Orangeburg only able to put up 8, so it was 36-8 at halftime. And then from there, Victory just never looked back. So a big win for Victory Christian. And then the other game that happened in South Carolina, Augusta Eagle, and in the SIFA rather. There were games in Skeesa, but Augusta Eagles hosting the Coastal Hurricanes. Augusta Eagles coming in at 8-1. And they get the 34-6 win over the Hurricanes. And so as we get set up for the 2023 SIFA playoffs, that'll start this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. I believe they will not. They will start next weekend. Augusta Eagles. There's that. Yeah, I believe so. So playoffs will start this weekend. Let me double check one more place. Yeah, playoffs start this weekend. So I'll talk about those games that are coming up this weekend. So let's see. Let's go. Let's go to Alabama. Let's talk about some football down there. Very interesting situations there. We'll start in the AISA. Evangel Christian Montgomery on the road at Southern Prep, and Fighting Rangers, big win for them. 50. It was 52-12 at halftime, and then not much scoring in the second half. Touchdown for both teams, but a big win for the Fighting Rangers. As now on the season they move to 6-5, just over five. That win putting them over the 500 mark. After starting out the season 0-3, they got to 500, and they've kind of gone back and forth. And this game put them over 500. So their playoffs start this upcoming weekend. Their opponent is locked in. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. The other AISA, well, two other AISA games happened. One on Friday night, North River Christian and Trinity Christian Homeschool. No score has been reported for that game. And you know what? We'll check. We will check AISA, the AISA website, because a lot of people have directed me to there. Nope, no score there. There we go. So, the other game happening involving an AISA team is Cornerstone Christian Columbiana. They were at Bessemer Academy for an 11-man game, and Bessemer 45-22 win in that game. Let's go to the ACSC. They had their playoff games this past weekend as well. You had East Central at Evangel Christian, and the Lightning did not struggle. 46-7 win over East Central. Run through these stats a little bit. Kemp Swords, 13 of 18, 186, and 5 touchdowns. So a great night from the young man. A ton of people carrying the ball for Evangel. Honestly, Brock Humphrey, number 50, their senior, had the most rushing yards. 42 off one carry. So there you go. Let's see if there's receiving. Clay Stanton had 59 catches. Cade Joyner had 55 catches. They both had a touchdown. Caleb Austin, 3 catches for 45 yards and 3 touchdowns. So 3 catches, 3 touchdowns for him. And it looks like Josh Lumen was there. Well, Lumen and Castleberry were tied for the lead in tackles. Lumen had 2 tackles for loss, and Castleberry had 2.5. So very solid performance by that defense to get to the ACSE championship game. But their opponent had to be decided, and it was also decided that night. Ezekiel Academy was at Lighthouse Warriors. Big rivalry game. They've played each other a couple times over the last few seasons. And Ezekiel Academy, I'll tell you what, they gave Lighthouse all they could handle. Lighthouse was up 14-6 at the end of the first quarter, and then Ezekiel was up 26-22 at halftime. They both scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, it all just kind of fell apart, and Lighthouse pulled away in that one. Let me see if I can. It was 50-40. Elliot Knowles scored a rushing touchdown. It was 50-40. They didn't get the 2-point conversion. Ezekiel completed a touchdown pass, did not get the 2-point conversion, so 50-46. And then from there, Clay Boatman with a 2-yard rushing touchdown. They got the 2-point on that one, so then it was a 12-point game. Daley Smith with a 55-yard pick six. It was a 2-point conversion, 66-46 win or score. And then Boatman with a 43-yard rushing touchdown. Icing on the cake, 72-46. Lighthouse Warriors get the win in that one. And I'm going to go to the box score real quick. Lighthouse having put stats in Max Preps. We're going to talk about him. Elliot Knowles, senior quarterback, 7 of 18, 161, and 2 touchdowns. He also ran 14 times for 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. Clay Boatman, 32 carries, 330 yards, and 4 touchdowns for that young man. What a game for him. And he spread the ball out to several receivers. The leader was Clay Boatman, 2 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. And then in terms of defense, Clay Boatman led the team in tackles with 12, 5 solo. Cullen White, Daley Smith, each with an interception. So, Lighthouse and Evangel for the ACSC championship. And I'll go through these couple games real quick. Let's see. Let's bounce over to this one. Friday night, the CFA championship game is coming up this Friday night, but they had their playoffs this past Friday night, and Russell Christian was at Cornerstone Christian. Of course, they played first game of the season. Game went to overtime, and Russell got the win, 62-24. This time, though, they handled business. 48-14, big win for the Warriors. And Cornerstone Christian did put their stats on Max Preps. Their quarterback, 4 of 12, 77 yards and a touchdown. Let's see. They had Owen Meadows, their sophomore receiver, with a 57-yard catch for a touchdown. And then on defense, it would be Colby Harrison, the sophomore, with 15 tackles and a tackle for loss. So Colby Harrison with a great night. Several players also with 9 tackles. Meadows, Barksdale, and Johnson. So congratulations to Cornerstone Christian Rainsville on a great season. But Russell Christian, man, they got it done. They handled business. And I'm going to double check myself because if I'm not mistaken, let's see, what year did they come to 8-man? 2016. I don't think that was. Let's see. I don't think that was a playoff game there. Yeah, no, I think they lost to Tuscaloosa and Tabernacle. Yeah, it looks like that wrapped up their season. But in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, that was their first year in the championship game. Yeah. On 11-3, they played East Memorial Christian. So, all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up for my first guest today. We'll get him queued up here.
Hello.
Joining me now is the head coach of the Russell Christian Academy Warriors, Coach Tim Moore. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to join me.
No problem, sir. Happy to accommodate you.
Well, first off, congratulations and welcome to the championship game.
Well, thank you, sir. We're excited to, be there, and we've been a long season working hard. It's just one of our goals to get there.
Now, obviously, you want to have all the confidence in the world in your guys and your staff and in everybody, but in the back of your mind, knowing the history and tradition that Russell has in terms of, the postseason success and the championships, when you look at everything that happened over the offseason, the coaching change, the number of guys you were losing, if I had told you right then and there that you guys would make the championship game, what are the odds that you would believe me Like I said, you want to believe in your guys.
Sure, sure. Well, I mean, we when I came in, and I'm thrilled about the opportunity to be at Russell. First off, I want to say that really good program. Good people, good staff, great young men. Uh, so, you know, I I felt like we could get there if we put in the hard work and continue to improve and get better. And that's one thing I can say about our guys. I mean, when I came in, they're very open. They were very, they were willing to learn and listen. And we, with the few changes we did make, um, they were, worked hard to make things work and understand what we were trying to do. So very open, to new concepts and new ideas to some extent, and just we're putting in the work. I mean, they understand also of what's involved, and so from that end, I mean, we knew we could be here. We just knew we had to, continue to work and continue to work hard to get there.
Well, and it wasn't like you guys had, an easy path where you look at your schedule and go, "Oh yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. That'll be fine." I mean, you guys were fighting all season long. You had to beat a team in overtime.
Right,
you took the couple losses that you did. I'm not talking about non-conference, but conference play.
right.
It wasn't an easy path to get there. That you lose obviously to Jacksonville. You have the tough loss to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
Um, Going through that portion of the season and going through those situations, you mentioned your guys. I want to give you a chance to talk about some of your guys, some of your leaders that stepped up, and some of those guys that we're going to see on Friday that maybe people don't know about. But all of a sudden they're going to watch them play, and it's going to be an eye-opening experience.
right. Well, I mean, we've got four seniors this year. All of them have taken a hold and made it their team, and their year. And I'm extremely proud of them. I've got Hunter Jarman, who's a right guard on offense. Caleb Purvis, who's my starting left guard on offense, and then I've got Matt Williams, linebacker and running back, tail wing back, I should say, and wide receiver. Um, we've got Aiden Burns, who's our quarterback. And for what we do, he is a key component to making things run and happen. And so I'm extremely proud of them. They have pulled us together, made sure we were ready to go. Have been great leaders this year for us, and I mean, they've just the guys have just gotten behind them, and we've jumped in and gone to work. We've got Ty Jones. Ty's got over 1,000 yards this season rushing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know, Carter Simmons. Fullback, wide receiver. Carter 6'2". Been making some great catches. Also defensively plays there at a defensive end. Ty Jones again as a linebacker. Uh, Decker McKenzie, other defensive end. I mean, we've just got a lot of guys that came together and really came to play. I mean, um, and I'm proud of them. I mean, we had for lack of a better term, yeah, we've had a hard road to hoe. As they say,
Yeah, yeah.
but we hung in there. They believed, we believe, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you got to come together as a team when it really counts. And I think right now everything working as it is, and I just feel like we're getting to the point of where you know, we're reaching, we're starting to play good football, and I'm extremely proud of them.
Do you happen to know the first year? Has it been talked about at all? The first year that Russell, because obviously you guys have a. This is the seventh straight game you play in, so I guess that kind of answered the question. 2017, first time you guys get in the championship, you win it. You've won it 6 straight times now. This is number 7 straight year in the championship. It's a lot of
Yeah,
history, coach. That is that a motivation at all for the guys knowing that, because obviously you guys are a tight knit family at Russell, and there's
yeah,
a lot of family football going on. It's, hey, his older brother played, or his 2 or 3 older brothers
right.
played, so there's a lot of history there. Is that a motivation at all with the guys of knowing, hey, there's a tradition and a culture here of winning this game every single time we've played in it, and we've been in it the last 6 times.
Extremely so. And that's one of the things that we talk about. That's one of the things we use as far as motivation.
I mean
Nobody,
that's a New
nobody,
England
yeah.
Patriots championship culture mentality.
It is,
I mean
and
it's
and our senior class does not want to be the one that drops the ball,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
that's true.
that's what they talk about. I mean, when you get in there, and that's a great thing. I mean, you've got that motivation, you've got that desire, and you've got that understanding that hey, we're gonna make it happen, and they work at it. I mean, so yes, I mean that's part of it. That's part of the mentality. It's part of the tradition, and the great thing about being at Russell is, we're going to continue that. I mean, that's something we're fixing to just lay aside and say, hey guys, we might have had a few changes, but we're not backing down.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely proud of my guys for how hard they work, being leaders, being fine young men most of all.
You guys have been in particularly real to me 3 close games this year. You had the Cornerstone Christian game, the overtime game you won. Then you had the Tuscaloosa game. You guys came up short. You had the North River game. You lost by a touchdown. Tuscaloosa was lost
Right.
by a touchdown. So let's say you get into Friday and you got a close game. It's neck to neck and neck, which I'm rooting for, by the way. I would love to broadcast a close game. But
Yeah.
let's say you get in that close game, the lessons that your guys have learned from both winning close games and losing close games, and your coaching staff as well, the
Sure.
lessons from those games, the good and the bad, um, if they have to get in that situation where they apply those lessons, what are some of those lessons that you think the guys can apply to the game Friday if you get in that situation?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the biggest things we've learned is this: one, the game's not over till it's over.
Right,
Okay.
right.
um, and that you can't give up, and you've got to continue to fight no matter the situation. We talk about this. We say great players make big plays in in big games, and we've stepped up and we've done that this year. In the wins and the losses. But most of all, we understand that we've got to continue to play no matter the situation. Don't let the situation define you. Let's define the situation. Let's make it what we want it to be, and let's make our own luck. Let's not,
Yeah,
depend
yeah.
on somebody else to determine what happens and what doesn't. And so we understand that, and we're going to go out there. We're going to play football. We're going to give it all we can till the horn sounds, and we're going to do our very best to play top-notch football every time we step on the field.
Now, obviously, you guys played Tuscaloosa earlier in the year. I mentioned that you come up, losing by a touchdown. In the
Right.
back of your mind, obviously, you guys have your playoff game. The other playoff games take is happening, and when you guys played Jacksonville this year, didn't quite go your way. In the back of your mind, were you ever mentally preparing for playing Jacksonville? Or were you ever mentally preparing for playing Tuscaloosa, or was it okay? Obviously, we want to go one game at a time, and then Jacksonville's
Right.
there. I mean, when you found out the score, your first thoughts when you found out the score of the Tuscaloosa Jacksonville game?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like this. I mean, I knew it was Tuscaloosa has a great team. I
Yeah,
mean, you got to give them credit there. I mean, they work hard, great staff, great bunch of young men, great athletes. And so that's the thing about when you tee it up. And I think we know from the years of experience I've been in it is, hey, anything can happen. And I've had an opportunity to watch a little bit of the Tuscaloosa Jacksonville playoff game, and you know, um, Tuscaloosa, you know, played a great game. It was Jacksonville played a great game. Just
yeah,
Tuscaloosa
oh
came
yeah,
out on the
yeah,
better end of it. And so to us, we weren't concerned about quote, I guess you'd say, who we were going to play.
right.
We just didn't want to get the cart ahead of the horse and down, overlook anyone. And so
Well,
we're going to take it one week at a time.
and especially with Cornerstone being a team that, you two went to overtime first game of the year.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
it was a war.
it wasn't like you blew them out the first time you played them.
Not at all. I mean, they play hard nosed football. Coach Adams and his crew. I mean, their coaching staff does a wonderful job with them. They were prepared to play, and we had to play and play tough, to be able to come out with a win against them. But I mean, we weren't trying to overlook anyone, and that's something we try to make our kids understand is, it's 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, and let's play every down and win every down, and that way we win the game.
Right, exactly. Now, I don't want you to look past Friday, obviously, but I do have to ask the question that is on everyone's minds. You had the change in leadership with yourself taking the head coaching role, and the in 2017, first year win the championship. You guys go down to Florida. You play in the NHSA national championship game. Is there any chance that you guys go down there, go down to Florida, if the game goes your way Friday night?
Well, let me put it this way. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility, but we're only focused on one thing right now,
Fair
and
enough.
that's this Friday night, and we'll see what happens, after that.
Fair enough. I didn't know if it'd come up in conversation or not. I had to ask. I mean,
I
that's
understand.
it's
Yeah, no
it's
problem.
it's right there. It's right there.
I
Um,
got you.
I do want to ask you, coming into this season and seeing the amount of guys that, not just you guys, because you guys lost a ton of guys from last year. JB
Yeah,
Jones. I mean, the being the key person, but um, I know. Hang on, I'm gonna go back because there's guys on that team, and I feel terrible right now.
that's okay.
Hang on. Dennis Childress, Cam Darden.
Uh-huh.
These names are all popping back into mind now. Gabriel
Sure.
Brinson, Chance Null. These seniors that helped you guys build that culture. They
Right.
move on. They graduate. And so you guys, now coming into this year, so you lost that, but you look across the conference, Tabernacle's losing guys, Tuscaloosa's
Right.
losing guys. Coming into the season, and obviously you're focused on yourself, but knowing the kind of the situation there, uh,
Yeah.
did that ever affect how you guys looked at maybe any of the conference games and going, okay, or did it make you say, hey, this might be a little bit tougher because not only did they lose guys, but we lost guys as well?
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing about it was I was brand new,
Right,
so
right,
I didn't know what to expect overall, except from what I was able to gather on film, on video.
right,
And so for me, we prepared each game for the unexpected, I guess, to some extent. Not only what we could see, but what we were, what might happen, just as any coach does. Um, and so, we wanted to be what I guess you'd say, technically and tactically proficient, and make sure that we had our guys ready to play. With the expectation of to expect anything. But yes, I mean I was aware once I looked at video from last year and then of what was coming from this year of kind of some of the changes that had taken place and what great athletes were on those teams we were going to play. So we had to make sure we were ready to go. I mean we're rather young. We've got a 9, 10th graders, and
right.
almost all of them are playing,
See,
and
but
only
that,
four
but that's,
seniors.
but that's not a good sign for the other teams in your conference, coach. Because then now you have this group of 10th graders who have gone to the championship. They've had a role in it. That's not good news for everybody else. It can't be.
Well, I mean, it's good. It gets good news for
Oh,
us,
it's great news for y'all.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I know that these other teams, and don't get me wrong, they got a lot of young men, younger. They've got a lot of underclassmen on their teams too,
yeah.
and they're great athletes. I mean, it's when we go in and we play, we expect to be in a dogfight every week, and most of the time, that's what it's been. So I mean, there's some great athletes out there on all of these teams, and there's some great coaches that are doing a wonderful job, also in our region. So I mean, it's something to be dealt with every week. I mean, you got to be prepared and ready to go, and have it strapped up tight and ready to jump in there and get that helmet on and go to work.
Oh yeah. One last question for you, coach. Obviously, coming into the championship, and we're gonna do this. Coming into the championship, um, it's being played at Tuscaloosa, and
Right,
therefore Tuscaloosa will have a home championship game.
right.
Different situation that no one's used to. Is there anything different or special that you can do with your guys during the year to get them used to that environment? Because it's gonna be on a 10 with it
Yeah,
with those fans being at home, the guys having their home normal routine. Is
Sure,
there
sure.
anything that you can do with your guys to get them ready for that environment, or is it just business as usual?
Well, I mean, I think it needs to be business as usual. I mean,
Fair enough.
we need to just prepare ourselves and make sure we're prepared mentally and physically. Make sure we're in good shape, and as far as that nobody hurt, no, nothing like that. I mean, we just want to make sure we're ready to go, take care of our business, make sure we cover our bases, our fundamentals, and make sure we know what we're fixing to see when we step out on that football field. Outside of that, and as far as playing, you've got to be able to block the rest of it out and just play with what's in front of you. And outside of that, if we do that, I feel like we're going to focus, we're going to be fine, and we're going to get out there and we're just going to play football and play the very best game we can.
Fair enough, Coach. I appreciate you jumping on with me. I'm looking forward to doing this championship game Friday. This is going to be a lot of fun. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and we'll see you Friday night.
Hey, we're excited. Thanks again for the opportunity. Okay.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all. Appreciate it.
All right. God bless. Bye
All
bye.
right, you as well. That's Coach Tim Moore from Russell Christian Academy. First year coach, they're in the championship. It's a lot of culture. That's a lot of culture over there in Meridian, Mississippi. Real quick, before I bring on my next guest, I want to run through their game. Tuscaloosa Christian at Jacksonville, and I'm not going to get into the storylines around it too much because I'll break it down as guys can coach the questions. But I want to talk about this team. First off, shout out to the people putting stats on Max Preps. Big kudos to you. Luke Jones, their senior quarterback who can run the ball. This stat line it has to be correct. 20 carries, 365 yards, 6 touchdowns. Also, senior running back Jackson Harris, 15 carries, 159 yards for that young man. And they threw the ball 4 or 5 times and got 70 yards. 2 touchdowns. No big deal. Just slinging the ball around against this running gun Jacksonville Christian. But the defensive side is impressive. Luke Jones, 13 tackles, 12 solo. Michael Carter, 12 tackles, 11 solo. Harris and Yeager with 9 tackles each themselves. Jackson Harris with the interception. Fumble recovery for Anglin and Harris. Forced fumble from Carter and Anglin. I mean, just incredible. Just incredible. I'm going to get my next guest lined up. We'll get him queued up right here.
Hello.
Joining me now is the head coach of the Tuscaloosa Christian School Warriors, Coach David Arsenault. Coach, I appreciate you joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Coach, if there was sports books in high school football, and obviously there's not and there will never be, and thank the Lord for that. If there were sports books, I don't know that a dollar would have been put, and don't take this the wrong way. This is not, I don't know how many people would have put money on y'all going against a Jacksonville team that had already beaten y'all in the regular season. And, everyone's looking at this game going, number 1 seed, number 4 seed. Not very often is there the upset. I mean, Coach, this was the upset. The last 5 years, there hasn't been a bigger one. Coming into this game, knowing that you guys, at least from the outside looking in, you guys are the underdogs. You are. Going into this game and knowing that the task in front of you, what was one of the biggest things you were conveying to your guys through the week, getting ready for this game?
Well, we didn't really get caught up in much of that. If
Yeah.
you looked at the game last time, it was a one-score ball game going into the fourth quarter. We were missing Jackson Harris, which is a key part of our defense and offense. I mean, he had 159 yards rushing in this game. He also had the interception that kind of sealed the deal a little bit.
Right.
So, you're talking 8-man football, one athlete can make a huge difference.
Oh, a massive difference.
So you take, missing a key athlete, we hung with them pretty good, and I don't want to take anything away from them. And then just the amount that our team has improved on the back half of the season, we we really didn't look at ourselves much as underdogs going into it.
Fair
We knew we
enough.
could we knew we could hang with them fine.
Yeah.
Um, but I am not that I didn't use, the sentiment that nobody thinks we can win as fuel for the fire.
You
We
kind of
definitely
have to. It's built-in bulletin board material.
right, we did that for sure,
Yeah.
but I think all the coaches and all the players kind of felt like, yeah, no one's given us much of a shot, but we knew, and I think even if talking to their coach, we all knew it was going to be a good game. It was definitely wasn't a foregone conclusion, and they put up a quite a fight.
Yeah.
It was down to the wire for sure.
Well, and facing a quarterback like that, who they did go make it to the championship last year.
Hmm.
They're unbeaten again. They're having a great season. That's something where you have to take that into account and preparing for an offense like that.
Yeah.
In terms of getting your defense ready for something, and I don't want you to give any secrets away, and I know you won't, but getting ready for an offense like that, is there anything special that you guys have to maybe tweak a little bit or do just a little differently, or is it just make sure we do the basics and the fundamentals the right way?
Well, yes, the thing with their offense is, and let's keep it all in perspective. They still put up 48
Yeah.
points on
Oh.
us.
Oh.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever I did to get us ready, I didn't really.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
um,
And I'm not saying your defense was not a shutdown defense by any means.
no, no, no. And so I think I think you just have to, when you approach an offense like that, you say, okay, they've got number 26. I think his name's Travis Barnhill.
Yep. Yep.
Just a tremendous runner of the football. They've got a good offensive line. They have the best quarterback as far as throwing the football that I've seen since I've been coaching,
Yeah.
and they got great receivers. Okay,
Yeah.
so what are you going to take away? You can't, unless you have just an unbelievable defense. You don't really have the option to take it all away. So you got to kind of have to pick your battles of, well, where can we win?
So
And that was that's the kind of the way we approached the game of, I can't take everything away, but maybe I can take away one or two things
yeah,
and slow them down.
it almost seems like it's a situation of the best defense is going to be a good offense.
Right.
To
Oh
where
yeah.
to where in their mind it's not, hey, we're ahead a little bit, we can tap the brakes. It's when their offense comes on the field, okay, we got to score to either catch up or stay ahead or whatever. It seems
Right.
like having that offense is going to be the best defense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, it definitely we did take away their big plays for the most part. They had a couple, but all in all, they didn't. That I've seen that quarterback time and time again stretch the ball down the field and hurt people big time.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we mitigated that. So that was good, you know. But they were still obviously very productive on offense.
Have you seen Luke Jones's stat line for
Yeah,
Friday night?
yeah. And I don't know that I've ever seen one like that before.
It's very rare. 20 carries, 365 yards, and 6 touchdowns running the ball.
Right?
That's
And
on
then
top.
two throwing the ball on top of
I
that.
was about to say he only completed 4 passes. 2 of them were touchdowns, and a total
Yep.
of 72 yards. So just insane, coach. But I wanted to get you to talk about not just him, but all the young men on that team that came together and through the season, through the couple of the losses you guys had, going through tough times of the season, even coming into this game Friday. Want to give you a chance to talk about some of these young men that have just really taken a massive leadership role.
Well, I think this team maybe more. This is my 11th year as a head coach, 14th year coaching in the CFA,
Yeah,
and this team really has had just what's the right way to put it? Uh, a humble attitude with a great trust in the coaching staff. They don't really question us much. They really are eager to learn. They're eager to execute the way we want it. They have
they've
bought
bought.
into
Yeah, I was about to say they've bought in.
they've 100% bought into the vision that we created for this team, and and though they raise my blood pressure here and there at times, they I don't know that I've ever seen a team improve as much as this team has throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
It's really something to see, and especially on the back half of this season, I've never seen a team improve this much late in the year. The big turning point for us was the game up in Rainsville against Cornerstone. That really, you have a big loss like that where a team just comes out and dominates you. It can go one or two ways, and I think it's due to the leaders on the team, not the coaching staff. I think it's due to the leadership of the seniors,
Yeah.
specifically, Luke Jones, Levi Burnett, and Jaden Yeager, big time. That they took the right path and reacted to that loss the right way, and it's made all the difference.
That's huge. That's huge too, to be able to react to something like that, because it was Cornerstone and Jacksonville, the two conference losses that you had.
Right?
And of course, the last, including the Jacksonville game, last three games you guys put up 56 points. Now, it escalated. You gave up 28, 38, and then 48. But you go before the Jacksonville game, you go through that stretch you were talking about of the 4 wins. Um, and obviously, the argument from people is going to be, well, those were bad teams. They should have beat them, blah, blah, blah. But my argument is the sign of a solid team is you beat who you're supposed to beat. You handle business where you're supposed to handle business. But also with that, I feel like going into a stretch of games where, people say, okay, well, they should win these games. I feel like the guys can build a false confidence almost, or the coaching staff can build a false confidence that, oh, okay, we should beat them. And that's how upsets happen. To keep,
Yeah.
what were some of the things that you and your staff did to keep the guys out of that mindset and say, hey, anything can happen on Friday night. Now, once we get in the game, obviously we're going to get rolling. But getting ready for those games where people say, oh, well, we should win, or, we think we should win. Is there anything that you guys did to keep them out of that mindset, or, and to make them really buckle down and get ready for those games?
Well, our whole philosophy, and it's every year, but we've really honed in on it this year, is the idea that outcomes are results of all the little decisions you make,
Right.
right? So every day you're faced with 1,000 little decisions, and a lot of them affect football. It's academics. It's are you putting yourself in a good position to be academically eligible for this team? Are you watching film when we're not at practice? When you come to practice, where's your focus at? And so that's kind of our thing, is every game is an opportunity to get better. And so how you prepare for that game affects how you improve during that game. And then after that game, how you react to that game affects. So it's all pointing to the conclusion of the season. Every little moment during the game, in practice, watching film, at school, how you eat, how you sleep, all these things are tiny little decisions. And if you can get a team to buy into that process of looking at everything as an opportunity to improve your team so that at the end of the year you can feel good about what you've done throughout the year, then it doesn't really become so much a matter of who is my opponent and how good they are. If you really believe that every moment is helping you reach your true potential, then every team is an opportunity to get better, no matter who they are. And that's how we look at it. So it's like,
Right.
hey, on paper, we're supposed to beat this team. Doesn't matter. On paper, we're supposed to lose to this team. Doesn't matter. You should prepare and think about it the exact same way.
Speaking of preparing for games, I want to buckle down and I want to talk about Friday night and the championship. And part of that is talking about the game earlier this year that you guys played with Russell. 22-14, you guys get the win, but man, it is tight, and it was a tough game throughout the whole game. So as
Mm-hmm.
you guys go into Friday to play Russell, who, this is their seventh straight championship game. They've won it the last 6 times. The history is there for them. But you guys have the win earlier this season. You guys have that, that little just ahead of them. You have that confidence that you have beat them. It wasn't much, but you have beat them. So going into something like Friday night with a game against Russell, um, does the motivation of, hey, we have a chance to make history here, do we have a chance to bring a title, I say bring a title to our school, you're going to be there already. So, getting ready for Friday night in that game, people say it's hard to beat a good team twice. So what are some of the keys going to be to beating a good team twice?
Well, the same keys as beating, really, yeah, any good team is, can you control the ball? So no turnovers, and then no big mental errors.
Right,
I think
right.
I think if we both play our game and we don't turn the ball over and we don't make big mental errors, which we did a lot of in the last game, but they did as well, so it kind of all washed out. If
Yeah,
we can, not make mental errors, not turn the ball over, I like our chances in the game. Uh, I think that was when we played them. That was kind of before a, the big turning point of our season. I felt like, and I feel like we're a different team than when we played them last. I mean, I don't, and I'm not there. Russell is a very, very good team, and one thing you can always say is that they got boys that like to tackle. They don't mind the contact. They are a physical team,
yeah,
and they also have just they've got a bunch of boys that have been in big moments before, so they're not scared of it. And we are definitely lacking there. So, I mean, I don't think one guy on our team, I hope not a single guy on our team thinks that because we won by a touchdown last time, that means anything for this game.
for sure. Yeah. Now, getting to play the championship at home, and obviously that was something that came out of the big win you guys got. To be able to do that in front of your home crowd, keep your guys in their home rhythm, not having to go on the road, that's got to be huge for you guys and your opportunity Friday night to get to play in front of your parents and maybe more people from your school that would be at the game than normal because it is a home game. Keeping
Yeah.
your guys in their routine and their rhythm and even just the day, you can kind of somewhat keep that the same. That's huge for you guys. It has to be.
Yeah, it is. For the most part, I'd say it's a definite plus. It is nice. I will say that the one negative is it just puts a little more, because we are the host school,
Yeah,
there's a lot more preparation that has to be done around the school and the field and all that stuff to get things ready
fair
for the
enough.
game.
Fair
That's a
enough.
slight thing, but all in all, I would still much rather be in our locker room, at our field. So I think it'll be a huge component. But
Coach, you just put that off on Coach Lancaster and Coach Potter,
I always do.
and just say,
Coach
hey,
Bosch,
you guys
Coach
hand.
Bosch does it all.
Well, just say, hey, listen. I'm trying to bring a championship here. You guys handle the field, and there you go.
Right.
No, but seriously, that's a huge opportunity. I do have to ask you, out of 10 people, and obviously the first time we met, I nailed your last name. And people look
Yeah.
at that last name and it's a little different. I nailed your last name and we've been through the whole situation of why I got it. For those that don't know, one of my former bosses, that's actually his name is David Arsenal. No relation at all, but I nailed it. Out of 10 people, how many people do not get it on the first try?
It depends where you're at. If you're
Fair
in
enough.
Alabama, usually 0 out of 10 people get it right. If you get around some French-speaking people, well, I, I I say there's pretty much two correct pronunciations of it. You got Arsenal, which is the Americanized version, and
Yeah.
then you got Arsenal, and whatever people say, I just go with. But if they get one or two, either of those, I'll give it to them. But you generally get neither of those when you're in
I,
Alabama.
I
So I
was
would
I was
say
about to say what's the worst one you've gotten?
astronaut.
No way.
I know they're adding consonants that aren't even in there.
Oh man. Oh man. Well, just so you know, I'm rooting for, and I'm good with either one. I'm rooting for a 22-14 or a 62-54 game. I'm good either way. I'll take the defensive struggle. I'll take the offensive struggle as long as it's a close one. Because I'm excited to do this game, and obviously I won't be the one calling it, but the crew will be there. We'll be broadcasting it, and looking forward to seeing it and seeing your guys. A little battle of the Jones there, Luke Jones and Ty Jones over at Russell. But coach, I appreciate you joining me, and man, good luck Friday night, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll see you.
All right, bye.
That's Coach David Arsenal over at Tuscaloosa Christian, getting the opportunity to play for the CFA championship game, for the CFA championship in the CFA championship game. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one down in Tuscaloosa, actually Cottondale to be specific. to nail it right on the head. So, looking forward to that one. That will be Friday at 7 p.m. right here on 8-Man Extreme. Spencer will be making his return to the booth. We'll have Blake Biggs, former Sacred Heart of Jesus starter and star. He teamed up with Spencer last year to call the CFA game. I thought it went great, had a good time, and so he will be returning to call that game with Spencer. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And then on Saturday, we'll have another game. It'll be the second SEEC championship game. Of course, last year and this year, both at Zion Christian Academy there in Columbia, and they did a great job last year hosting the game. Really, really appreciate them. But last year had the Freedom Cowboys, Tennessee Heat, and a little bit of a rivalry has brewed over the last 4 or 5 years between them. Matter of fact, they have the Independence Bowl, and it's a play on from before they were in SEEK. They were both independent teams. The Independence Bowl, there you go, you got it. But last year, Freedom won the Independence Bowl, and then they won the championship. This year, the Tennessee Heat have won the Independence Bowl. So you got to wonder. I'm going to get Coach Ryan Scott lined up. Let's see.
Hello.
Joining me now is the head coach of the Tennessee Heat. It's Coach Ryan Scott. Coach, I appreciate you joining me.
Hey, James. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Hey, so I want to talk about this season so far, and obviously you guys you didn't have any 8-man losses in Tennessee. You had the one 8-man loss to Lighthouse, number 3 in the nation, playing for another championship. So I would say it's a pretty solid loss by 2 points at the end of the game. You had the 3 11-man losses. Okay, let's set those to the side. In terms of how your team has performed this year, because you guys lost a lot. You lost guys like Aiden Luchtefeld. And you did have some guys coming back this season. But knowing what you had on your team, knowing what your schedule was looking like this year, is this about how you saw it playing out? Better, worse? Where are we at with it?
Yeah, I think wishfully, I think it's a little worse than we hoped. I guess I'm always the optimist, so I set high goals and
Right.
and expect great things for our boys, and I think that's a something we really want the culture to continue to be as long as I'm the coach, is believing that we can rise higher and go farther. But so yeah, some disappointments. Definitely the game at Lighthouse Homeschool didn't get off to a good start. Super proud of the boys for shutting them down in the second half defensively. I think that's a new phenomenon for us as a program that I'm really proud of, is that we're finally starting to play, defense. I don't know that that's really been who the Tennessee Heat has been since I've been the head coach. I love the offense, but I realize and recognize that defense is really important for
Yeah.
us as a program to be successful. So super proud of them for battling in that game, and just scoring there at the end and missing the 2-point conversion and not getting the chance to go to overtime. It was a tough loss, but I mean, all in all, as you know, Lighthouse Homeschool, coached by phenomenal coaching staff. JJ Duarte does a phenomenal job, and just to be in a game against a program of that caliber was super satisfying. But then the rest of it, I think the boys have played well when they've needed to, especially on the 8-man front, winning all our conference games, and again, just I think we're still trying to psychologically get ourselves to that level where we feel like we can play 11-man games to a level of physicality and executing. Still got some work to do there, but we're excited to continue that in that direction. But our focus is on championship week, so excited about this week.
If you go on Max Preps, you go back to 2016, there's no schedule, there's no record, there's no roster for the Tennessee Heat. Tennessee Heat weren't technically a team. Of course, you had the co-op with Hendersonville Christian. 2017, you guys decided to jump back in the saddle, get the program started again. And now you're playing for your second consecutive conference championship. Growing the program, getting it through that point, even going through the time of COVID and everything that brought, still trying to build this program. what were some of the key things that you knew that needed to happen or that have happened to get a program from almost non-existent to a championship caliber program?
Yeah, gosh, I'd be just so amiss not to say that first off, it was never my intention or my my plan to coach Tennessee Heat football.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people may not know that the reason that I became the head coach was that our current head coach had to make a quick change of plans. His wife was transferred. She was enlisted in the military, and so in the month of June, a month before the season started in 2016, it was kind of a decision as a board of directors: do we have a football team anymore? Because we had 12 players that wanted to play. A lot of them never had played before,
Right.
and I just made the decision with my wife's support that it was important that Tennessee Heat football continue, and I was going to jump in and sacrifice for one season. And the Lord never let me go from there. It was His plan that He was going to show off and do what He does, and I've been humbled through the process of just trying to grow and change a culture. Not that we haven't had a good culture of faith and fellowship with the boys. Always really trying to have that brotherhood that we've always wanted them to have, but more of expecting the hard work and the discipline and just really the toughness that we've begun to develop. That's taken a long time to get to a place where we can compete at the level we're competing now. So certainly, again, humbled by the journey, but also very much excited about what still lies ahead.
Well, and there's been so many open doors for you guys. Something that I wanted to mention is Charlie Daniels Park, and for those that haven't gotten a chance to go up there and see the what obviously what the folks with the Tennessee Heat and the culture, the community that you guys have. Of everyone coming together and building that into something where, like I said, if you haven't been up there, you need to go check out a game up there. It's a fun experience, and you wouldn't think that a homeschool program, not to talk derogatory about homeschoolers, but you wouldn't think, oh, they could put all this together. It's usually you think, oh, they go to the local park, really don't have anything to put up, play a game. You guys have a home field advantage that not a lot of programs do. That rent their field. That's huge for you guys to be able to have that, and the way that everything fell together, came together, and worked out. That's got to be a big part of you guys being able to, like I said, have that home field advantage.
Well, definitely. I mean, I think there's probably lots of boys that are playing football for Heat football now, both in our middle school program that continues to flourish. 18 game win streak, 22-1 in the first 3 years. So
No
I
big
think
deal. No big deal.
no big deal. I think our middle school program, is a direct result of the facilities being made available to us, just the generosity of the city of Mount Juliet and key people that just saw what we were doing and what we wanted to do to bless a vacancy that was there at Charlie Daniels, a building that was going to get knocked down, a field that had kind of been forgotten, and it just God's sovereignty at the right time, showing us an opportunity to leverage that to change lives and to use the great game of football to teach the lessons of what young men need to learn to be warriors for the kingdom of God. And so football's just the excuse of why we get together. And we are an organization and a program that definitely wants to leverage that. But you need facilities. You need the numbers to be competitive. And from having everything in storage and just working on fields that had potholes and glass and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff to be in a place where we actually can drop sand on our field and fertilize it and water it and lock it up and have a weight room and locker rooms. It's just incredible. I mean, just completely in awe of what God has done and what we have available to us to run our program.
You talk about that middle school program and some of the guys that were on those teams early on in that 18-game win streak. They're now contributing on offense, and you see it firsthand. Guys like Elijah Eakin, Sam Hill, Wyatt Sutton, Levi Ashburn. Those guys are now playing on a varsity level and on the team and contributing. And they're not just playing, they're not just playing just to get garbage time. They're actually producing, and they're having, a good solid drive. That's got to be huge as well for you guys to be able to bring guys up through the system, But it's also got to be cool to see those guys flourish and really be productive at the varsity level.
Oh, it's super satisfying. And look, shout out to those boys. I mean, Isaac Orbkey,
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Elijah Hackle,
Yep.
the younger brother of Josh Hackle, former MVP of our team. I mean, we just have some really good quality families, quality young
Graham
men
Russell.
that, yeah, Graham Russell, just some really quality young players that have gone through it. I mean, yes, we've had the success in middle school, but right after the 2020 season with 7 just crucial injuries, including our star running back Carter Sutton going down in the jamboree in 2021. I mean, 2021 was a test for our program, but it was also a blessing in the sense that these young men were thrown into varsity roles as 8th and ninth graders, and similar to what I think we saw with Freedom over the last 3 seasons. The year that we had success against them, the 2 years that we 2 games that we beat them, was a year where they were young, and then we saw obviously the last 2 years where they were really mature and playing together. Well, I think we're starting to see some of the benefit of that 2021 season where those boys are not only playing middle school games but getting varsity experience and practice. And so just getting the opportunity to put a process and a program that they learn from 6th, 7th, 8th grade, our system, our structure, and to where it just becomes reactive when they're on the field and where they can play with discipline. Such a critical part of our success to this point.
Talk about those middle school guys that have come up. They're not playing varsity, but you've got guys that have been varsity for a couple seasons now, and guys who have stepped into a huge leadership role for your team. I want to give you a chance to talk about some of those guys for folks that aren't familiar with your team. Some of those guys that they can look to see Saturday and see produce, but also guys who may be behind the scenes. They're leaders on the team.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many kids that contribute. I mean, you made
Well,
mention of.
thankfully, you're the last interview of the day, so you have a few minutes.
Okay, I'll try to do my best. Hopefully, I don't leave anybody out because there just is so many. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we did. You mentioned, the name Aiden Luchtefeld, and last year he was a kid that really was. I mean, he is one of the best players I've ever seen play the game, let alone got the opportunity to coach. Even though he's not impressive from a height or I mean, he was fast for
I mean,
sure,
if
but
you walked past him, you wouldn't think, "Oh, he's a
no,
football player,"
you may not even know that
now
he's a
he's playing,
football player.
and now he's playing in college.
And he's solid. Don't get me wrong. That kid is. You don't want to run into him,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's just not the kid that you look at and go, "Well, that's a football player." But if you could see his heart, you would say, "Well, that's a football player because he plays the game the way that everybody wants to play it." And yet the problem with having a kid like that last year, with still a lot of young kids on the team, is there was times where he put the team on his shoulders. And then there was times when that caused the other boys not to step up and play because they were just hoping Aiden would do it for us. But this year, that's one of the things that's been so good is with Aiden moving on and now playing at Austin P. He's kind of passed the torch to 6, 7, 8 guys that were playing alongside him, but now are leaning on one another. And so certainly, seniors like Jeremiah Curtis, who's been with the program for 5 years, Dustin Danilaitis, Luke Matthews, who will be graduating this year, could play another year if he wanted to, but he's decided that the Lord is calling him something else. And I mean, kids like on the defensive side, we had Nate Williams for 2 years, really playing great on the defensive side.
Nope.
Jake Wogan, who is still a junior, thankfully going to come back and play another year. But just a huge shout out for a kid like Eli Whitaker, who has just been that kind of everything player for us. Played O-line all the way back when he was an 8th grader, and now he's being asked to play it again with us losing one of our key offensive linemen to injury this week. So Eli plays an incredible linebacker position. You saw him on Saturday where Nate Williams had a dead leg and had to come out for a while, and Eli just jumped in the middle linebacker and shut it down. So, just the leadership, the selflessness that a lot of these kids have to play wherever they need to play for their team. That's just something we've really called and asked them to. It's so tempting to want to be the star, to be the quarterback, to be the receiver. But we're really trying to, call that culture in a new direction of it starts up front. We're going to start celebrating more and more now the boys that want to step on the front line and really control the game, and that's what we know we need to do to get to the highest of levels.
Now you guys have gotten to play 3 home games in a row: Zion, Freedom, Sacred Heart. Obviously in the playoffs. Now you guys go on the road for the first time in about a month and a half, somewhere in there, and it's to play for the championship game. With an environment like that, a situation like that where the stakes are pretty high, and you are playing someone that there is a rivalry there. People say it's hard to beat a good team twice, and so you're going to be asked to do that on Saturday. But getting ready for a game like Saturday, what are some of the things that you and your staff are working with the guys, um, in terms of getting ready for Saturday?
Yeah, I think you kind of alluded to that when I was listening to the show earlier, alluding to the fact that we didn't really play our best game on Saturday. I mean, Sacred Heart's great program. Really enjoyed them coming up and playing us. Love their coaching staff, and the young men are just quality young men. And so, but we as a program, know how well we have to play to beat a team like the Freedom Cowboys. And we were fortunate 2 weeks ago to really play well, especially in the second half, to play. I wouldn't say there's many games that we can say that we were more physical than the Freedom Cowboys. And in the first half of of the game last time we played, we weren't. They're just well coached. They expect to dominate you physically, and they came up to our place and they did for the first half. Fortunately, we were able to go into halftime with the lead. But that's what I challenged my boys at halftime. I said, guys, we know that physical beats finesse every week, and
Oh yeah,
so
oh yeah.
we've got to be physical, or else we're not going to get this done. And my boys really did rise up and play really the best half of football that I think we've played in a long, long time. And so I'm just really hoping, and I'm going to be calling out and preparing them to have that same mindset for 4 quarters so that we can get our first championship. But we know it's not going to come easy, and we're going to put all our cards on the table. It's all about this week. So
Over there at Charlie Daniels Park, you guys have the runner-up plaque, and obviously it's nothing to write off. It's hey, it's a good season. It is a good season. It's not the best, but it's a good season. You guys have never won a championship in Heat history. You've been in the playoffs a couple times. You've never been able to bring that first place trophy back to wherever you guys kept your trophies. To be able to grab that trophy on Saturday, and obviously you guys have to handle business, to be able to grab that trophy on Saturday for these seniors to be able to do something that hasn't been done. I want you to talk about a little bit about how big that would be for not just them, but for Tennessee Heat football, who, really, as you guys try to grow, you're trying to show people that, hey, this can be done. You can have a successful homeschool, and there's programs all over the place that are this, but as you guys build the Tennessee Heat into that go-to program, that the homeschool kids that want to play football, they want to come here and they play. I mean, you guys are pulling guys from Clarksville and Murfreesboro and all over the place. How I want you to talk about how big that would be for those seniors to be able to hold that trophy up for the first time in history.
yeah, I think it would be huge, and like I said, such a big opportunity for us to get to this place and to stay healthy enough to be able to play for that. So without a doubt, it will change who we are, and just our confidence level. I mean, like I said earlier, we sometimes struggle with that confidence of believing that we belong in that situation. And Tennessee Heat teams of old, there was a year or two that they co-opt. I was an assistant coach way back then, co-opt with Curry Ingram School, and had some success together with them, championship kind of program. But as a freestanding independent football team, this will definitely be our first true championship as a Tennessee Heat program. And those are things you can point to. Every program wants to have a championship displayed, and something to talk about to future teams of, hey, we've done it. This is what it took. And so if you wanna have a championship too, you gotta trust the system and follow the process. And so I'm just, again, so grateful that the boys have believed and trusted in one another, trusted in us as a coaching staff to be in this game this week. And just definitely going to do everything we can to play a great game of football and hope it falls our way.
Last question for you. You guys don't shy away from the big games, and you mentioned that you have struggled at times with believing that you guys belong in these big games. That you guys you get into them, and obviously you want to do well, and sometimes they don't go your way because of that confidence. Winning that championship, and you talked about it, winning the championship, having that confidence, especially with as many young guys as you've got coming up. We talked about them earlier. These young guys that are now going to, if they win Saturday, have a championship under their belt, have that experience and that confidence level going into next year. As you put your schedule together, you look at the schedule, and you look at possible teams you could play. I want to give you a chance publicly. Is there anybody you look at and you go, I want a chance to play this team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any secret. I mean, when you had Coach Flanders on earlier, I think this year I was listening. You asked him the same question. He mentioned our program. We've struggled over the last few years to keep each other on the schedule. We played this year in a couple of scrimmage opportunities, which was great. Our boys were real competitive against each other. I give a lot of credit to Coach Flanders for teaching me a few things, honestly, about their toughness and some of the character that they built in the way they play football. And so it definitely is one of my goals as a program. Since we are the homeschool team and not everybody accepts us, so we're constantly accused of, oh, you're cheating, you're playing boys you shouldn't. There's just all kinds of reasons why people don't want to believe that we have the opportunity to win fair and square. And I'm just always going to try to be the leader of character that we're gonna document our boys. We're gonna play the boys that we claim should be playing. But the Coach Flanders and I have developed a friendship of respect, and we want to see our program succeed and feel that iron sharpens iron. So we're hopeful that we're gonna have them as our opening game next year. Other programs to mention, JJ Duarte and I agreed again to keep them on our schedule for next year if we can, and just talked to Coach Smith at Evangel today, hoping that we're going to get to see them down in Florida and get a shot to play them this year. But even if they play 8-man or 11-man next year, we didn't get them on our schedule this year. But I told them, I said, we gotta make it happen whether we play 8 or 11-man, because your comment is right. I think that to be the best, you got to play the best, and
Sure,
you got to be willing. You got to be willing to lose to know what you're missing, and double down, go back to work, and come back and try again. So that's who we're going to be as long as I'm the coach, and I think it's the posture of life that I want to live, and hope these young men will follow that same mindset. But I guess I want to ask you a quick question, if that's okay.
For sure.
If you would, if you don't mind, go ahead and pick Freedom Cowboys for us this Saturday as the team to win, so that the Tennessee Heat will have a good shot to get it done. Would you mind calling it out and telling me that Freedom's going to beat us this week?
Coach, I don't think that Freedom is good, and this is James with 8-Man Extreme talking. Coach, I don't think Freedom's going to beat you guys.
James, that hurts. That's bad luck for us. You every time you call us to win.
Coach, you got to let me finish. I don't think they're going to beat you. I think the score will be a complete 180 of the score in the first game. It's going to be an absolute. We might have the mercy rule get started, and we might actually get out of there a little bit earlier. All right, there you go.
Running clock. All right,
Running
I'll
clock.
Take it. I appreciate it. Yes, that was smart that you didn't say who, but no, just playing with you. I know
Absolutely.
You've been accused of picking us to win, but no, like I said, we're hoping for a great game, and look forward to always having Freedom on our schedule as well as another program that we look forward to playing year in and year out. So
yeah, it's been a really cool relationship that you guys have been able to build, not just with the Independence Bowl, but just the relationship you and Coach Collins have been able to work up. And I kind of lied. I think I said last question. When you look at Freedom and how much you guys have been able to play them and interact with them, looking at the way that they do things as another sort of homeschool program. They do have some public school kids, but the way they've been independent and they've had sustained success, if I can say that right. When you look at a program like that, what is something that you can take away from how they do things down in Huntsville?
Yeah, I mean, just mentioning Coach Collins and the rest of his coaching staff, but specifically him. I mean, every time we gather with the boys after the game, uh, I'm always moved by his passion,
Yeah,
not only for the game, but his love for his boys, his love for the Lord Jesus. He always has something impactful to say. So it's no doubt to me why the Freedom Cowboys year in and year out are so successful. Just a really inspiring leadership, very balanced and focused on the things that really matter that are so much bigger than football. So, like I said, just an honor to have them on our schedule, to get to play for a championship against them. We would have loved to play Tri Cities. A lot of respect for Coach, the Tri Cities coaching staff and their head coach, but um, I'll be looking forward to the game this Saturday because it will be if we get it done, it will be a real honor to take that championship.
well, it'd be nice to not just get the trophy, but get you took the Independence Bowl trophy, you get a little payback, you win the championship. It'll feel good. It'll have to feel good.
Well, they definitely have the series on us, and so just even making a little ground back and making it a little bit more balanced will feel good. So certainly that's the goal.
For sure. Coach, I appreciate you joining with me, and good luck Saturday getting ready for the game. I'm looking forward to looking forward to seeing what you guys bring to the field Saturday.
Thanks, James. Appreciate all you do, man. We just it wouldn't be nearly as fun without learning about all these teams and the coverage that you give. And thanks for all the travel, and looking forward to watching the game on Friday night and then seeing you on Saturday for our championship. Thanks again for sacrificing all the time you do.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Sounds good, Coach. We'll see you.
See you, James. Bye.
All right. It's Coach Ryan Scott from the Tennessee Heat getting ready for their first championship, possibly first championship win, not first championship appearance, but first championship win. All right. Let's look at the rankings. The NHSA rankings, I do have them, and we're going to run through them real quick, and then we'll talk about the games that are coming up this weekend. Top 10. There has been a little bit of a change, obviously, as you would imagine. Evangel Christian, still number 1. Franklin Christian, still number 2. Lighthouse Homeschool, still number 3. Christian Community, still number 4. Pack Panthers, number 5. And this is where it changes. Last week, Jacksonville Christian was number 6. They have dropped to number 12. And the Tennessee Heat have jumped up into that number 6 spot from number 8. Fort Wayne King Crusaders are at number 7. And with the Tennessee Heat jumping up to number 8, that means Cornerstone Christian Columbiana, they have gone from 9 to 8. John Paul the Great out of Louisiana, they were number 12. They have jumped up to number 10. I think I mentioned Springwood at number 9, formerly at number 11. So quite a bit of movement there. So your top 10, Evangel Christian, Franklin Christian, Lighthouse Homeschool, Christian Community, Pack Panthers, Tennessee Heat, Fort Wayne King Crusaders, Cornerstone Christian Columbiana, Springwood, and John Paul the Great. And then you come down, and number 11 is Cornerstone Christian Rainsville, who were down at number 22. So finishing the season at 5-5, I believe. Let me double check that. Let's see. Let's see. Cornerstone Christian, Rainsville. There we go. And they are 4-6. So finishing the season 4-6. Cornerstone Christian, Rainsville. Number 12, I mentioned, is Jacksonville Christian. And previously that was John Paul the Great, who jumped up to number 10. Number 13 is the Augusta Eagles, previously at number 16. So with the win, they move up quite a bit, and they are now 9-1, I believe. Let me double check. Yep, 9-1, the Augusta Eagles. Number 14 is the Freedom Cowboys, and they have jumped up from number 17 with that win over Tri-Cities the other night. And so they are now 5-5. I believe. And I'm just double checking some of these records. Yeah, 5-5 on the season. Ezekiel Academy, they are at number 15 at 6-3, and previously Ezekiel up at number 10. So the loss drops them down. Well, we're going to ignore the ranking, the records. Yeah, because some of these records aren't correct. Number 16 is Russell Christian at number 16, and they have moved up from number 24. Grace Academy at number 17, coming from number 13, so they've dropped with the loss to Christian Community. Southern Prep at number 18, they move up just slightly from number 19. Tri-Cities Christian at number 19, they have jumped up from number 20. Acadiana Christian out of Louisiana, they have gone to number 20 from 21. Lancaster Christian out of Smyrna, Tennessee, they are at 21, coming down from number 18, so the loss drops them 3 places. East Central at number 22, they have dropped from number 15 with the loss to Evangel Christian. South Haven Christian at number 23, they have dropped from number 14 in the rankings. Franklin Classical School at number 24. They dropped from number 23. Tuscaloosa Christian at number 25, and they were previously at number 26. So the CFA championship game Friday night will be between number 25 Tuscaloosa Christian and number 16 Russell Christian. The ACSE championship game on Friday night will be between number 1 Evangel and number 3 Lighthouse Homeschool. The SEEC championship game on Saturday afternoon, that's going to be versus number 6 Tennessee Heat versus number 14 Freedom Cowboys. And then the TSI AA championship game will be between number 2 Franklin Christian and number 4 Christian Community. So a lot of good football happening. And those are just the championship games. Some of the championship games that are happening. Let's jump over. Let me get it pulled up real quick. That was your top 25, by the way. And later on this week, over on the Facebook page, National 8-Man Football Tournament, they'll be putting out their rankings on that Facebook page. So that's where they make them public. All right, let me see if the AISA, because their playoffs are starting this week, let's see if they've put a bracket up. They have not. Let's look on AISA's website. See if they put a bracket up. There we go. Good deal. All on top of it. Okay. So, the way this is going to play out is you will have Southern Prep. They will be hosting Meadowview Christian on this Friday night, and Southern Prep winning the first game they played against Meadowview. You're going to have Cornerstone Christian and Springwood School on a bye as the number 1 and the number 2 seed, and then Evangel Christian Montgomery and North River Christian will face off. I believe that Evangel Christian Montgomery will be the home team. Let me double check this based off of their record. No, North River will be the home team with a 2-3 record. They beat Evangel, Christian Montgomery, and Meadowview. So they beat them by 4, 32-28. So that was a big win. That meant that North River would host Evangel Christian Montgomery. So that the winner of that game will go on to face Cornerstone. But we'll run through all that here next week. But the games coming up this Friday night will be Southern Prep hosting Meadowview Christian and North River Christian hosting Evangel Christian. So looking forward to those games. Let's go to, we mentioned the CFA. CFA championship game will be this Friday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll have the broadcast right here on 8-Man Extreme. Spencer Thompson will be back to broadcast. He'll be alongside Blake Biggs, and they will have the call of that game. Let's see. Let's go to the ACSC. It's going to be Evangel Christian hosting Lighthouse Homeschool, the Warriors, and this will be a big one here for the title. I believe it is a rematch of last season. Let's see. All the last couple years with how good Ezekiel has been kind of runs together. So let's double check this. Let's see. All right. So yes, last year they played for the championship. Lighthouse has never beaten Evangel. Now that I'm looking at it, Evangel is 12-0 against Lighthouse Homeschool. And this is their second time playing for the championship. Of course, the first time last year. It was a 55-15 win. Earlier this season they played, and 40-14 Evangel Christian got the win over Lighthouse Homeschool. So there's that. Let's see. Let's go to the SIFA. I told you we would talk about their playoffs. And let me get that conference pulled up real quick. So the way this will work is Harvest Christian Academy will be on the road to face the Augusta Eagles on Friday night. I want to make sure. Let's see if they put a bracket up. No bracket. Okay, so Augusta Eagles and Harvest Christian, they will play on this Friday night. And I believe Victory Christian and Orangeburg will play each other in the playoffs. Let me see. Okay, so it looks like it'll be Augusta and Harvest, and then Pack Panthers and Victory Christian. Yeah, Pack Panthers and Victory Christian this Friday night. And it could change, but that will be the playoff situation there. And then the winner of Pack Victory and Harvest Augusta will play for the SIFA Championship here in a couple weeks. Let's go to the Heartland Conference. I talked about the ACEL down in Louisiana, their championship game last night. JPG, a dominant 38-0 win over Acadiana Christian. So congratulations to JPG on the win. Like I said, let's go to the Heartland Conference. I believe their playoffs have been set. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, so Friday night they have the 2A and 3A bracket. 3A bracket will be Destiny Christian hosting Crossover Prep and Sunrise Christian hosting Abundant Life. And then in the 2A bracket, let's see. The 2A bracket, I believe it will be Cross Christian, and this is not locked in, but my assumption will be Cross Christian hosting Claremore Christian, and then Southwest Christian hosting Unity Christian out of Mississippi. So that will be the Heartland Conference playoffs happening this weekend, and then they will have their championship games next weekend. So those will be fun to keep an eye on there out in the Midwest. Let's look at the Kansas Christian Athletic Association. I mentioned that three of their top three teams had bye weeks this past week, while the KC East Lions played the Cornerstone Family Saints. So Friday night, you're going to have Abundant Life at nope, that's the other conference. You're going to have KC East at the Wichita Warriors, and you will have Life Prep at the Manhattan Eagles. And the winners of those two games will go on to play for the Kansas Christian Athletic Association Championship. Let's see. On Saturday, I did not get a chance to go over these, but on Saturday, yesterday, you had Holgate High School and St. Mary's Central Catholic. They faced off in the Northern 8 playoffs. And Holgate High School will be going to their second straight championship game. Toledo Christian, they were hosting Danbury High School, and Toledo Christian got a win as well. So on this Saturday at 7 p.m., you'll have Toledo Christian taking on Holgate. Of course, Holgate, their loss this season was to Toledo Christian, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that was the loss that Holgate had. It was a great game, 20-14, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 20-14 was the final score in that one. So Northern 8 championship game should be a lot of fun between Toledo Christian and Holgate High School. Let's go up to Tennessee. Let's talk about the TSI AA championship game coming up on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, I believe would be the kickoff for that one. Christian Community and Franklin Christian facing off, I mentioned, for the first time since 2015 in the championship game. And they played first game of the year. Franklin Christian had a big win in that one. Let me pull up the score real quick. But definitely, Franklin Christian, other than the loss to Evangel Christian, 3-point loss, they've had a great, great season. Christian Community, you could say the same. They have not lost since that FCA game. So definitely a little bit of a chip on the shoulder of Christian Community, ready for that chance to take a shot at FCA. 46-12 was the final score, first game of the year when they played. So Christian Community looking to win another conference championship. FCA is looking to win their third in 4 years. They played in 2020, won it in 2020 against South Haven Christian, won it in 2022 last season against Providence Christian. And so a lot of championship winning history for FCA here recently. And then talked to Coach Ryan Scott, Southeastern Extreme Conference, the SEC Championship this Saturday, 12 noon. Freedom Cowboys, Tennessee Heat. It'll be at Zion Christian Academy. And a lot of history between these two teams. Freedom pretty much leads the series, but Tennessee Heat have definitely been making some noise over the last couple seasons. I mentioned Freedom won the Independence Bowl last year, and then they won the championship. Tennessee Heat won the Independence Bowl this year. And you got to wonder what's going to happen. So I think that's what we're going to go over for today. Obviously, there's more games. Games in Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, And I believe this is the last. Nope, this upcoming weekend is the first week as the week of the playoffs. I'm going to try to get a little bit better handle on how the playoffs work, like in North Carolina and Georgia. I do apologize, didn't get a chance to break down how all the different brackets work. Well, actually, you know what? Let's just see, just in case. Let's see if they've put a bracket on Max Preps, because that would be very helpful in terms of talking through. Hmm. Yeah, let's see. Cary Christian and Halifax Academy is marked as a playoff game. JP2 and Rocky Mount Academy is not, and then to be announced versus Arundel Parrott. Let me look on the North Carolina, the NCISAA website and see if there's a football bracket on here. There we go. Way to go, NCISAA. You guys are all over it. All right. So Friday night, you're going to have Wayne Christian at Lawrence Academy. If that game has not been played. No, it has not. So Wayne Christian, number 1 seed. I'm sorry, that's going to be at Wayne Christian. So Lawrence Academy at Wayne Christian. And then Arundel Parrott is at Faith Christian School. You're going to have JP2 Catholic High School at Rocky Mount Academy. JP2 number 6. Rocky Mount number 3. And then the final game, you'll have Cary Christian number 7 at Halifax Academy, who is number 8. Now Wayne Christian 9-1. Halifax Academy 8-0 at number 2. Rocky Mount Academy 8-2 at number 3. And then Faith Christian at number 4 is 5-3. So those games will be happening Friday, and then they'll mark it down. And the championship game will be played in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from, I think that's supposed to say 11-3. 2 weeks from this Friday. So they will go back and forth. And taken on. So that'll be fun to keep an eye on. And let's check Georgia, because brackets are usually up and running. Let's check GAPPS football. Let's see if Gaps has posted any brackets. There we go. I think that's it. Yes, it is. Okay, they do have those brackets on Max Preps. So, Holy Ground Academy will have a bye. Let's see these games. Yep, these are the games going to be played this Friday night. Holy Ground Baptist has a bye. And then Trinity Christian School of Griffin will take on Crosspoint Christian on Friday night. Vidalia Heritage Academy, they will have a bye into the next round of the second round of the playoffs. And Peachtree Academy will be on the road against, or they will be hosting Praise Academy, rather. And so this is all in single A, the single A division of the GAPPS 8-man football division. So Praise Academy at Peachtree, Trinity Christian School of Griffin at Crosspoint Christian, and then Holy Ground and Vidalia Heritage have a bye. And then let's go to the 2A bracket. Unity Christian has a bye into the second round. Lafayette Christian will take on Central Christian. Sherwood Christian has a bye. And then Johnson Ferry Christian and Young Americans Christian will face off for the first round of the playoffs. And then obviously next week will be the semifinals, with the finals coming on the 17th of November. So those games will be fun to keep an eye on. Shout out to the NCISAA and GAPPS for having your brackets online. And I think that just about does it. That's a lot of football. You usually try to have about an hour show. Unable to have an hour show this time because we had so much football that we had to talk through. And big thank you to Coach Tim Moore, Coach David Arsenal, and Coach Ryan Scott for jumping on the show with me. Had a lot of fun talking to them. Those were some good conversations. I really enjoyed them, and I'm looking forward to broadcasting some football Friday and Saturday. A lot of conference championships happening this weekend and the next weekend. Starting on Saturday, it'll be time for the 2023 NHSA National Championship Tournament. We'll have games on Saturday. We'll do a live version of Extreme Talk on Sunday. That'll be the 12th. And then on the 13th, we will have the day 2 of the games down in Panama City Beach, Florida. We'll recrown a national champion. And we'll have some good football there. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun into the season. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Big thank you to Complete Real Estate, who presents Extreme Talk. Complete Real Estate, where experience and integrity matters. Go catch a championship game this weekend. If not, you can watch them. We'll see you later. See ya!